Captain Thomas watched from the observation deck of the Resilience as another star system collapsed into darkness. The phenomenon had begun 3 standard years ago, stars simply fading to black, their planets cooling rapidly as entire civilizations faced extinction. The Galactic Council had named it the Ashen Blight. "How many systems lost now?" asked First Officer Wilson, joining Thomas at the viewport. 17 today, over 3,000 since it began, Thomas replied, his voice steady despite the horror of what they witnessed. The blight is accelerating. The Resilience had been dispatched as part of humanity's contribution to the Multi-Species Research Initiative. While Earth remained untouched, many human colonies had already been evacuated as the mysterious darkness spread through the galaxy's spotter alarms. "We've received a transmission from Council headquarters," Wilson said, handing Thomas a datapad. "They're calling all research vessels to the Centauri Nexus." Thomas nodded grimly. The Centauri Nexus, a massive space station built collaboratively by the 12 founding species of the Galactic Council, had become the last bastion of organized resistance against the Blight. Humanity, as the youngest member of the Council, had initially been dismissed when they proposed their theories about the phenomenon. "Set course immediately," Thomas ordered, "and tell Dr. Reed to prepare her findings." Dr. Reed, a brilliant astrophysicist with unorthodox theories, had been ostracized by many of her peers. She had spent months analyzing the Blight's pattern, developing a hypothesis that the Council had repeatedly rejected. 3 days later, the Resilience docked at the Centauri Nexus. The station buzzed with frantic activity as representatives from dozens of species worked desperately to find a solution. Thomas and Reed were immediately escorted to the Grand Chamber, where the Council awaited. High Counselor Elon, a tall, gray-skinned being from the ancient Mauryan civilization, addressed them. "Captain Thomas, the Council acknowledges that we may have been hasty in dismissing Earth's insights. Your species has shown remarkable resilience in past crises. We request Dr. Reed present her findings." Reed stepped forward, activating a holographic display. "The Blight isn't a natural phenomenon. It's technological in nature, a weapon or tool created by an intelligence beyond our understanding." Murmurs filled the chamber as Reed continued. "We believe it's a dimensional harvester, collecting energy by transferring matter from our universe to another. The reason Earth and several other systems remain untouched is their unique quantum resonance." "What evidence supports this theory?" demanded Counselor Vex of the Tauran Collective. "This," Reed said, projecting new data. "We've detected quantum echoes preceding each system's collapse, and we've found a way to potentially reverse the process." The chamber erupted in chaos as the implications became clear. Thomas observed the scene with a mixture of pride and concern. Humanity had often been viewed as primitive by the older species, their stubborn determination and unconventional thinking dismissed as naivety. The solution requires retrofitting starships with quantum resonance generators. Reed explained when order was restored. "We'll need to create a galaxy-wide network to stabilize affected regions." "Impossible," declared Counselor Vex. "We would need thousands of ships." "Earth has already begun mass production," Thomas interjected. "We can deploy 500 vessels within a week." Stunned silence followed. The older civilizations, despite their advanced technology, had become rigid in their thinking, paralyzed by the unprecedented threat. Humanity, with its history of overcoming existential challenges, had prepared while the Council deliberated. 3 weeks later, Thomas commanded a fleet of human vessels alongside ships from races that had chosen to follow Earth's lead. They approached a system on the verge of collapse, generators humming as they formed a precise geometric pattern around the dying star. "All ships in position," Wilson reported. "Quantum network stable." "Activate on my mark," Thomas ordered, watching as the darkness began to envelop the star. "Now!" Energy surged between the ships, creating a lattice of brilliant light that pushed against the encroaching void. For a moment, it seemed their efforts would fail. Then slowly the darkness receded. The star's light strengthened, its planets spared from the cold death that had claimed so many worlds. As news of the success spread, more Council races joined the effort. Fleets were dispatched to critical systems, protecting them while researchers worked to permanently seal the dimensional breach causing the blight. 6 months later, Thomas stood again on the observation deck, but this time viewing a star being restored rather than extinguished. Dr. Reed joined him, exhaustion evident in her features but pride in her eyes. "The Council is implementing your permanent solution next week," Thomas told her. "They're calling it the Reed Protocol." She smiled faintly. "And to think they wouldn't even listen to us a year ago." "They underestimated humanity's greatest strength," Thomas replied. "Not our technology or resources, but our refusal to accept extinction." As they watched the star return to its full brilliance, Thomas reflected on humanity's journey among the stars. They had arrived on the galactic stage as newcomers, often dismissed and underestimated. Yet when darkness threatened to consume everything, it was humanity's persistence, adaptability, and unwavering hope that provided the light. The galaxy would remember how, when faced with ash and darkness, humanity had observed, adapted, and refused to let the flames die out.